All right, you ready to make a video?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do it. Hey, what's up everybody? How you doing? It's me, Robert Anthony. I'm here with
Joelle Anthony.
And we're with Living with Rob. So we're coming to you from the Niland, California area. We are out in the middle of a despotic, desolate area. It is like, if you've ever seen the movie The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington, where there's a secret surprise at the end. He's blind, but he's traveling across the country after what seems to be like a nuclear holocaust or something. And he walks through all these desolate areas, towns that have been completely destroyed and run down, vagrants and a bunch of criminals. It's a terrible time on the earth, obviously, from what you see in the movie. I got to tell you, that's what it feels like out here where we're at right now. We're doing some work camping, or I am.
Yeah.
Work camping is where you come into a place like this, an RV resort where we're at right now. They provide you with a site with full hookups, and then you work and you make money on top of that. And part of your compensation is your site, generally speaking, for like 10 or 12 hours a week. I will say though, I've been doing some research on workcamper.com, and the vast majority of the job offers that we're getting funneled through to us, or the work opportunities that are coming through to us now, the site is not part of your compensation. It's given to you for free, and you're paid for every hour that you're there. So this is our first experience doing this, and we've learned what to watch out for the next time around. We thought that this place would be an area that would be kind of a fun place that we can get into and discuss with you what we do for boondocking. A subscriber had said, hey, it'd be nice if you would make a video to talk about how you get ready to go out and do your boondocking. Let's talk about that a little bit in case you're curious. Let me first define boondocking. Boondocking is the concept of taking your RV into a dispersed camping area, rustic area that is away from all hookups. You're not hooked up to power, you're not hooked up to water, and you're not hooked up to a sewer system. You are totally and utterly off-grid. That's what boondocking is. Boondocking, or dispersed camping, requires not just every kind of a unit. You can boondock with a Class A RV, the big bus. You can boondock with a Class C RV, the van style with a rig on the back. You can boondock with a fifth wheel. You can boondock with a travel trailer. We boondock with a Winnebago Micro Minnie 2108 DS FLX series. Now, the FLX series comes out of the factory with a lot of solar on it, but if you're going to be boondocking, regardless of what you're using, there are some things that you're going to have on your rig. First and foremost is going to be a source of power. Now, generally speaking, you can come out to these areas, and as you can see, there's nobody around. We're actually on, I believe, BLM property, Bureau of Land Management property right now, so we could theoretically bring our camper and our rig out here and just park in the middle of this very desolate wasteland, is what we could do. You need a source of power. So you can run your generator if you want to, but if you want to listen to your generator all the time, that's great, but that doesn't work for us. So typically in a boondocking situation, most people are pretty loaded with solar. Now we have nearly 1,000 watts on our rig. It's not quite enough for us, and we only have a 320 amp hour battery. That's not enough storage for us. So as we have learned, doing this full time now for a few months, we're already going to have to upgrade our camper. We're going to have to get a bigger camper. And when we do that, I am going to load that dude up with solar. But as far as the boondocking goes, there are things to take into consideration. How easily your rig can get deep into the wilderness. Now, part of the reason that we bought the 2108 DS FLX series is it's outfitted to be able to get out into these areas where you're out more in the middle of nowhere and off-road more. So it sits up much higher than a standard travel trailer. You can get out a lot of places with our rig. you're running a Class A rig, a fifth wheel rig, a Class C rig, there are going to be less places that you can go boondock. Although, as you'll find as we talk about this throughout the video, there are plenty of places wherein you can take your Class A, Class C, or fifth wheel, even a less aggressive travel trailer, to do the whole boondocking experience. So that's not a requirement, it's just something that we went after when we bought the Micro Minnie. All right, so right now we want to break in and we want to ask you a favor. If you're here and you appreciate what we're doing, it would be great if you could like the video, hit that like button, and then if you could subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and then hit that bell notification. When you hit the bell notification, that lets you know when we've released a post or a new video, and that would be really great. The like button helps to push the video up in the algorithm, which tells it that people like this, and it will show it to more people. If you could hit the like button, like right now, that would be great. We would appreciate it. Thanks. Let's get back to the video. How do we prepare? How do we get ready for the boondocking experience? Let's set the stage. We've been in a spot for 14 days, which is the legal limit on most properties that are federal properties, whether it's Bureau of Land Management, National Forest, or public lands, like a state trust land, which Arizona and Utah has a lot of. You can stay for 14 days, then you have to move. Some of the properties require that you move 25 miles, some I've seen 100 miles, some 50 miles. You want to check the regulations with that particular Bureau of Land Management office to know how long you can stay. Well, you can stay for 14 days. That's generally the rule, but how far you have to go when you move. That's an important consideration. What is it that we do? What's the first thing that we do before we depart, or as we're getting ready to leave to go on the boondocking extravaganza to find our next location?
We figure out where we want to go through Campendium.
Yes.
I believe.
So the first thing that we do is we'll spend the day before or 2 days before, hey, where do you think you want to go? Where might you like to go? Now, we use an app called Campendium. Now, Campendium has a website. They also have an app that you can download for both iPhone and Android. We pay for our Campendium because we do this full time. You can get it for free, and the free version is good, but we do pay for that. That is something that we felt that it would be worth the $80 a year to have the pro version. It gives you a lot more features, and it's a wonderful app. We will plan out on the laptop, generally speaking, where we're going to go. We're going to go to Arizona. We're going to be in this area. What's available there? Now, what I like about Campendium is you can set filters to look for free-only sites, but it's a crowdsourced site. And what that means is it will have all kinds of reviews, pictures, and where to go, what to expect to get to that area. What I like about it is people that have been there, you might see things in the review that'll say, not big rig friendly. Well, if you're in a Class A and you're looking at those reviews, you don't want to go into that area. If you've got 2 or 3 people saying, we tried to take our Class A in there, got stuck, or couldn't turn around, because a lot of these places where you get in, you'll have to drive 5 or 6 miles once you're in before you can turn around. You'll know that if you use an app like Campendium. There's a secondary app that we really like that has a website, but it's more on the phone that we use it. It's more of an app. Do you know what that is?
I Overlander?
Yes. The second one that we use is I Overlander. That's our backup plan. That's our backup app that we use if we're not finding a lot in Campendium. So in I Overlander, it's definitely more crowdsourced, and we will find things in the national forests and in the national properties that we're able to see that are not on Campendium. So that's been a real godsend for us. And what we really like about I Overlander is I Overlander will help you source water. One of the things that you deal with when you get out here is you are having to deal with trying to find water. You're having to source water, and you need to know where you can fill up your tank or where you can get water. I Overlander does a better job of that. Both of the apps help you to find dump stations, which are important, but I Overlander, I found, helps us to find water more effectively and more efficiently. I might add that one of the third apps that we use is an app called RV Parky. RV Parky. Now, RV Parky is more public campgrounds, private campgrounds, but it also helps you to know if you can stay at a Cracker Barrel, if you're doing that as an overnight, or a Walmart, which Walmart across the nation is really getting aggressive on shutting down their parking lots to RVers. So that's why we've signed up for Boondocker Welcome. Totally different video. We won't get into that here. But the first thing that we do is we figure out where we're going. Typically, we're not driving more than about 200 miles, maybe 250, going from point to point, because we know we're going to set up at the next location and stay there for possibly 2 weeks. So once we've determined where we're going to go, what's the first step that we take?
I believe it is using our Gaia maps.
No.
Darn it!
Okay. One of the things that we'll do is if the location that we're at allows it, we will empty the gray tank onto the ground. In a lot of the desert areas, they say, put it on the ground. That's great. You can't empty your black tank on the ground. But on our way, we try to figure out where we can go to dump our tank. The black tank, the sewage tank, we need to get that empty. We got to start out with an empty tank. On top of that, we need a place to fill up our water. So, because we only will travel with about 1/3 of a tank to maybe 1/2 of a tank over long distances, we don't fill up the fresh water in that location. We wait until we get close to where it is that we're going. Like our recent stop in Kanab, Utah, we stopped in Page, Arizona at a wonderful marathon. We washed the rig. We were able to dump the tanks, fill up with fuel, as well as fill up with water. So because we don't like to travel with a ton of water full all the time for a long distance, we'll wait until we're about, well, within a decent radius of where we know that we're going to be staying. Then we fill up. We fill up our water tank, our black tank is empty, our gray tank is empty, and we fill up our 7-gallon jugs. We have 4 7-gallon fresh water jugs, and we fill those up and throw them in the back of the truck. That way we're starting out with 59 gallons of water, because our rig only has a 31-gallon freshwater tank, which of course isn't big enough for boondocking. Right. One of the other things that we'll do then, once we start to get close, is we want to make sure that we're safe and that we're legal and that we're where we need to be. So that's where
Gaia maps,
Gaia GPS comes into play. We also paid for Gaia. Gaia is a website that you can have an account on. You can do it for free. You can also download it to your phone, Apple and iPhone and Android both. There's an app for Gaia GPS. What Gaia GPS is it's a mapping system. It's a GPS coordinating system where you can map trails, you can find trails like all trails, but it also has a couple of map overlays in the version that we're paying for, the professional version, which I think is about $80 a year, that will allow you to overlay over the maps the public use areas, Bureau of Land Management, federal forest lands, federal grasslands, national recreation areas, state trust lands like in Arizona, state trust lands in Utah. The reason this is important is because a lot of these Bureau of Land Management areas, like the spot that we were in Kanab, we were right in town. And it was a little square that was carved out, that was Bureau of Land Management property. And when you're boondocking, unless there's a sign that says no camping, you can park on any piece of Bureau of Land Management property, just drive up there and park for 14 days. The national forests are a little bit different. The national forests require you to know where your motor vehicle can go. That's where within Gaia, they show the motor vehicle use maps, the MVUMs, but I also have a free version of Avenza. Avenza is an app that you can go to the national forest websites like the Cherokee National Forest near the Appalachian Mountains. They will provide for you PDF files of all of the motor vehicle use maps. And what the motor vehicle use maps are they are guides that tell you on the map directly where you can park, where you can camp. It's a great system. When you download Avenza, if you have those PDFs on your phone, load it into Avenza, when you pull it up, it will show you where you're at on the motor vehicle use map, and you can follow along on the road, and you can see the designated campsites right on the motor vehicle use map. It's a great tool. We've used that frequently whenever we're in national forest lands, just to make sure that we're legal with where we're camping, because there's nothing worse than getting that knock on the door. But with the Bureau of Land Management map overlays, you'll find that there will be pieces of private owned property that belong to an individual or a municipality. You can't park there. You might not be able to park there, but if you're on the Bureau of Land Management property, you can. For example, up in Joshua Tree, 29 Palms, there's a spot that we're going to be going to that is actually a carved out Bureau of Land Management property where you can park. I used Campendium to find it, checked on Gaia, sure enough, it's Bureau of Land Management, and it's weird because it's like right in town.
Yeah.
Big piece of property right in town that we're going to be able to park our rig at when we're up doing photography in Joshua Tree in the upcoming months. We always prep it out. We use these tools to know for sure where we're going to be, that we're going to be legal, that we can stay there uninterrupted by authorities, and really just enjoy the area and have a good time. So generally speaking, after we've fueled up and we've emptied our tanks, we are in an area that is close to a town. That's generally the case. If we're not, we do find a place that we can go to a town. We use Planet Fitness, so we like to try to boondock close to where we can get in and get a workout in or a shower in, so we're not having to use our rig's shower on a regular basis. So a lot of times, like when we were in Phoenix recently, in the Phoenix area, in the Arizona area, we were within 20 minutes from a Planet Fitness, which is a great place that we can go to get a workout in and get a shower multiple days a week. So we're not using up a lot of our water. That's an important component for us. So love Planet Fitness and what they offer. But we also like to be stocked up on groceries. So typically what we'll do is from the last place that we stayed to the spot where which we're attempting to arrive, we will stop at a grocery store, whether that's a Sam's Club. It's kind of with us, it's a, well, it used to be Sam's Club. It's Costco now.
Yeah.
Costco and a Walmart. And we stock up on everything. She makes a list. She does a real good job of keeping lists of things that we need. And what we do, we'll go in and we'll stock up everything. And what we found to be an efficient tip that somebody gave to us that we would like to share to you is we typically will plan that so that it allows us to, if we buy a huge thing of chicken, we'll take them out at the parking lot in the trailer. We'll take some time, and if we have stuff that needs to go into freezers, unpacked, unwrapped, all of that stuff, that happens at the parking lot of the grocery store. And the reason that that does is we've got trash cans available, and especially with stuff like chicken, we prune it up, we cut the fat off, the rib fat, the rib meat that they put in them to fill them, and we get rid of all that so it doesn't stink up our trash. We always do that from the location at the grocery store where we're at, whether it's Costco, Walmart, or whatever.
The idea with the boondocking is to minimize the amount of trash that you're going to have with you, because there's not going to be any trash cans around, most likely. Yep. So you want to make sure you're minimizing those trash. So even if you're getting something in a cardboard form, maybe take it out of the cardboard if you have the space and get rid of the cardboard.
Pack everything away in a container or something and get rid of the trash. Get rid of as much trash efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
That way you're not dealing with it at your site as soon as you get set up. So that's a tip that we wanted to throw in there.
And also, what I want to inject here is, when you're boondocking, you want to think about food that you're going to be cooking. You don't want to be cooking things that are going to necessarily be made in the microwave, because then you're using that microwave. Right?
That's right. And one of the things that we've done, that we've started doing, that was hard for her because of her Italian heritage to get used to, we'll make a big pot of something. Spaghetti, beef stroganoff, rice-a-roni, we can have for 3 or 4 nights in a row. So we only have to cook a meal, a dinner meal, once every about 4 days. That has done a lot for saving us on water for doing dishes and on space, as well as just efficiency. You know, when we're doing photography, a lot of times we got to get on the move to get to where we need to go to do the photography. We don't have time to cook a meal every night. So we do meal prep, I guess, basically is what we do. That has become a habit that we've formed, and it's actually quite helpful.
Helps to keep it efficient.
That's how we handle the food, getting ready, once we've left the dump station, the gas station. Yeah?
All right.
Next, and that is when we show up. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. What I believe is very important is making sure that you're showing up at least an hour before sundown. because you never know what kind of encounter you're going to have or what you're going to deal with when you get there while setting up or before you set up. That's what I like that.
Yeah, so why is that important?
I think it's just important to know where you're going, the terrain that you're going to come across. If you lose the sun, you're not going to be able to see where you're going sometimes. Sometimes these roads are very dark, in the dark.
Yeah. Well, and that is true. When you're, by its very definition, you are going out into dispersed areas.
Yeah.
Designated dispersed areas are a lot of times away from cities. So one of the things that you'll run into is if you're trying to find your spot at night, it's a nightmare. And you get into these areas like in Utah where there's all that red clay and that red mud. If it's wet and you can't tell, you're going to get stuck in the nighttime. So we actually try to make it a point to show up 2 to 3 hours before we know that projected sundown is, because it makes getting set up exponentially easier, so much less stressful.
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing the RV life, you're trying to live as stress-free as possible. That's why you shut the door on the past and moved away from the corporate world, the work world, because of all the stress that brings. So, you know, the goal is to not be stressed out. Well, it's always a good idea to try to show up with significant and ample time to get your rig set up. The more you do it, the more practice you get at it, the faster it goes. Definitely want to be able to survey the terrain. You don't want to be rolling in at night. Not to mention the fact that in a lot of these areas, you're going to find, like when we were on the Snowbird Mesa in Las Vegas, you're going to find that there are a lot of people there. And if you're pulling in at 10, 11 o'clock at night and your headlights are shining in trailer windows and stuff, you become the guy or the gal that everybody talks about the next day. And, you know, unless it's really necessary, it's just common courtesy to try to avoid doing that, I think.
And I think overall you'll just feel better getting to your spot before the sun sets.
I think so, and that's part of the victory, part of the stress thing, the less stress thing.
Right, and I know that was a lot of information provided. So for the step-by-step brain people, step 1 would be...
Find your place.
Campendium.
Well, find your place on one of the apps.
Step 2.
Empty your tanks.
And dump your junk. Step 3.
Find a place to fill up and dump your black water tank.
All right, and step 4.
Go get groceries.
Step 5. Is there a step 5? Enjoy.
I guess so.
Get there before the sun sets.
Yeah. I feel like that's enough for this video.
Yeah, we're just rambling on now. I am. Well, I guess that's it for now.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Well, thanks for
I can't tell.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with me. I'm learning all this RV lingo. There's a lot of things to learn. Boondocking, dispersed camping, tent camping, dump stations. It's a lot. Trying to remember how many gallons we have of everything. So anyways, yeah, what do you think? Now I am really rambling on.
Yep.
All right, well, we will see you in the next one.
Oh, we're ending now?
Yeah, we should. It's too much. Too much.
Hey, listen, thanks for being here. Yep. I guess that's the end.
Bye.
Okay. Rob. What do you mean bye? Till next time, I'm Rob, and I'm out.